Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome. So I'll wait for some of you to pop on, but I have a really fun live for you guys today. We have a new release of 2 stamp packs. So we have 2 new stamp packs. One is a mountain range pack and the other is a tree pack, and I had a lot of fun making the samples for these. And so if you saw the post for any of the social media or even on the website, you could take a look at it. Oh, yes, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We are going to make that project today, just a smaller version because it takes a lot of time. So I kind of did a little bit of work beforehand because a lot of the sanding on these blanks takes a while. So we're going to start that project. I'm going to show you the impressions of these amazing stamp packs. Terry put the heat on last night. I think I'm going to have to do that tonight. So again, ImpressArt in your comments are going to be Allison and Francesca today. Hello, Alicia. So we are super excited. You guys could buy these now. They are live. Hi, Hillary. Thanks for joining. So you could buy these live today on ImpressArt.com. I know, Terry, aren't you excited? So I'm going to take you over to my block. I'm going to show you the new stamp packs, and then we're going to do a really easy project that some would think that you would need a jeweler saw for, but I kind of dumbed it down a little bit, and we are going to use a mixture of metal shears and flush cutters to achieve that same look as if you are hand sawing. Angie's still on vacation. I'm jealous, Angie. I need a vacation. Definitely need a vacation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn you around and bring it over my block, and we are going to take a look at these new design stamps and make one of the projects. All right? So I'm going to just flip you guys around. All right. Yes, Emily, these aren't ultra detail, so these will definitely be available in the UK for you to purchase. Angie, they're already in your cart? Wow, you ladies are good. So I'm going to stamp out the impressions to show you first, and then we will begin with our project. So the first pack is a mountain range pack. All right, and you have a 9.5 center stamp, which is a full mountain range, and then you have sides of mountains, and those are 6 millimeters. And let me just flip this around for you guys. There we go. You can, Angie. So these are great because you're not limited to just one big mountain stamp. You could play with your different ranges. And they will go with your signature Christmas tree stamp. Yes, Kimberly. All right. So I am going to stamp these impressions out for you guys. Put some enamel in them so we could see what they look like. So these stamps have a really nice cross-hatched pattern inside of them. So I'm just going to run the enamel marker over it. Using a dry household paper towel, I'm going to blot, lightly wipe. And I want you to see how nice. Do you see that crosshatch pattern through there? So it kind of gets nice and dark on the bottom, lighter on the top. So these two sets of stamps, the mountains and the trees that I'm about to show you, are the same way. There's a lot of negative space in some of the trees, which is going to take you a little longer to color in with your enamel marker, but you're kind of just going to get an antique look. And I'm going to show you. Rebecca, unfortunately, we just released them today. We actually released them a couple of minutes ago. They got them up live. So, all right. So that is the mountain pack. Okay, so definitely the center is a 9.5, two sides are 6mm. And now the trees are a 4-pack. Okay, so you have, let's see if we could get that detail in there so I could show you. There we go. All right, so this is the largest one. That's a 9.5. Then we have a 6mm. Another 6mm. And you can notice, guys, there aren't any lines on some of these trees. So your enamel is going to sit in the corners of the detail. And then we have a tiny one. All right, so I'm going to stamp these out for you guys. There's my 9.5. There is not a white enamel pen, Fran. No white enamel. Here's my other 6. And here is my 3. Hi, Noelle. Yes, so Stephanie, I know off the top of my head that Cookson definitely carries ImpressArt. There are smaller retailers as well. And if you go on the ImpressArt page, for locations, they will give you a list in the UK and in Europe and in the US. All right, so I'm just going to lightly dab these. And lightly wipe. So now you could see what I'm talking about with how your enamel really hits the sides of these trees, okay? And it really looks like silhouettes. How beautiful are those? All right, so the ink isn't really made to stay in the entire impression. You could get that if, you could keep on applying if you want to. It's meant to look very, like, antiqued in the center. And how beautiful that tree is. So I'm very pleased with both of these packs. All right. And I know we already had people asking about the sample that they saw, and that is what we are making today. So we are going to do a pendant, okay, using our brass bezel, our copper insert, and we are going to do 3-dimensional mountains, and I'm going to show you how to cut those out of Alchemy, okay? So here are the impressions, and we are going to start because this is kind of time. It takes a little bit to do this project, but we will get it done. So when I'm looking to do a 3-dimensional bezel, okay, I always use any kind of alchemy strip that I have, whether it is a piece that is scrap, but today I'm using my rectangle border blank. I'm just going to use the back of it, okay? So I'm going to come in, and with my Sharpie marker, I'm just going to measure it up to the end and mark the end of my blank, okay? So this is going to let me know that this space is where I want my mountains. So I'm going to come in, and let's see, I am going to do my mountains on different peaks. And now you can do any combination that you like. I'm going to let them just come off the side a little bit. So you could definitely attach it to make that mountain look bigger. And then I'm going to come in again. And I'm just going to build up on those peaks. And I'm going to come in with my left a little lower. Just like that. And then I'm going to just go a little lower. And here are my peaks. Now, what I'm going to do, what I did in that sample, is I took my ball peen hammer and I ever so slightly just textured the insides of my mountains. So I'm just going to really highlight the inside of this one. So this is my multifunction hammer with my ball peen head. And I'm carefully just texturing the insides of that mountain. All right. And then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to give it some dimension. So I'm going to utilize my line stamp. Yes, Fran, you could use the same for sterling, the tilt and tap, okay? I'm going to come in and I'm just going to give a couple of vertical lines as a texture. Maybe cross hatch it just a little bit. All right, come back in with that ball peen and just jazz them up a little bit. Just very light in some spots. All right, so then I'm going to come in with my metal shears, okay? And I'm going to give a nice nip right to the sides. All right, so now I know that I am at the same length as my bezel. Then I'm going to come in with my metal shears. Now you could use these metal shears. We have on the website, there's Xuron shears. I like the ImpressArt, so I'm just going to come in just like this. So this really takes your guesswork out of using your jeweler saw, all right? Because it's definitely something to learn. And I'm basically just taking off pieces of my metal. Okay, so now when you have a piece like that, you could definitely come back in with your flush cutters, okay, and just snip it. And there you have it. And then if you want to get really close, come in, nip it just like that. With your flush cutters, you never want to get too close to your stamped impression. You want to leave some space. You want to leave some room. All right. So now you have your mountains, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take the coarse side right there of your sanding block, and you're really just going to really knock down your sides. Now, this does take quite a while. I want to say a really nice piece. Everyone knows that I really love my rounded edges. I like when things look very organic. So it took a good maybe 5, 6, 7 to 10 minutes. You can, Emily. You could definitely do that. So take your course and you could just keep on knocking it down. So this is the one that I did, all right, before our live. So basically it is a little different, the pattern, but it's the same. So after all of my sanding, I'm nice. I'm not sharp anymore. My edges are rounded the way I like that organic pattern. And that's the reason why I love Alchemy so much, is because it's nice and soft, easily to manipulate. All right. So here are my mountains. Okay. And that's what my back looks like. This was out of the border blank. Okay. So I'm going to actually then take my blank, all right, place it in my bezel, and I'm really just gonna eyeball it and line it up. So see how nice and three-dimensional that looks? It pops off, all right? So I'm gonna come in with my Sharpie marker, and I'm going to mark where I want my trees, all right? So let's see. I know I want my moon somewhere over here, okay? And I know I want some dots. And I know I want some crystals, okay? So maybe I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with, actually I'm going to start my trees here. So I'm just going to draw on my blank. And I think that's where I want all of my trees in the background. Now the one that I made as a sample was obviously a much bigger, thank you, Anne-Marie, was a much bigger bezel, but you could do that as well. I'm going to keep it small today only because I'll probably keep you guys on here over an hour, which I don't want to do today to you guys because I know it's the beginning of the week. So I'm going to come in with my 9.5. I'm going to place it on my blank. And there is my first tree. gonna come in with my smaller tree. This tree is by far my favorite. Now, I know I'm going below my marks. I don't mind my trees going below, you know, behind my mountains, because it's kind of, you're kind of layering it. And this one is definitely my favorite tree out of all of them. All right. And I'm gonna come in with my tall tree right here. Jackie, they are rated for stainless. They are. I would just use a heavier hammer. All right, and I guys got you. There you go. Okay, so I have my trees. I'm gonna come in with my dot stamp. And I'm gonna do them all over. Can never have too many dots, right? So now I know I've showed you guys I showed you guys our little embellishments. So these go very well with this project. They come in the brass and they come in copper. So what I would do with my moon is I would come, let me pull this back a little bit, and I would snip off the top of my tag. Just like that. Then I would come in with my block, okay, the core side, and I would just run it right over just to knock down those edges. All right, that sharpness. I'm gonna put that on my block. I'm gonna take my ball peen and I'm gonna give it a little bit of texture. I'm not gonna go crazy with it. I'm gonna texture the top and the bottom a little bit, just so, and the side, just so it gives it a little dimension. All right, and I am going to, that's gonna be right on my block as well. Okay. So I'm going to take this off for now, and I'm going to come back in with my crystal setter. And just literally make some divots, nothing crazy. All right, just to highlight that copper. No, Linda, it's not. My dot stamp is grinded on all four sides, and it's definitely got more of a point, if you could see that there. I know my phone doesn't want to zoom in today. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna come in, and a little trick that I showed you guys is just to take Sharpie off. You could just go right over it. The same thing with the enamel marker. If your enamel's dried on, just wet it and wipe it. And it comes right off. All right. So now we're using brass, and sometimes when we're stamping and we're really forging into metal, it tends to cup a little bit. So what you want to do is you want to come in with your multifunction hammer, and you want to use your nylon head. You're going to put that in, tighten the bottom. You just want to turn that over and give it a couple of nice taps. We're not overly aggressively hitting it. We just want to flatten that blank out again. All right, and we're not damaging the other side either. All right. So now what we're going to do is I am going to mat my blank. Okay, now you can mat your blank after. Really, personal preference. I want to mat it, but I'm going to mat it in a way where it kind of leaves a halo around my impressions. If you want to blank your disc, okay, and you want it consistent, you definitely want to mat and prep your blank before you stamp. I want more of the halo effect around my stamps, so I'm going to mat my piece after I stamped it, and I'll show you what that looks like. Did you see that halo effect around everything that I stamped? I really like when I'm doing scenery. I like that. I like that halo effect around my blanks. So remember, with your buffing block, you're always going to use the medium side. The coarse side, you're going to use if you want a really heavy matte finish. Personal preference, not for me. I like my medium. So I'm going to come in and really give my blank a nice matte finish with those halos. Okay? Making sure to go in the same direction. Thank you, Anthony. All right. Now, sometimes, if you see here, we're forging into metal, and this is copper. Any kind of metal that you forge into, sometimes it's going to bulge on the side. If you get that bulging, definitely take your coarse side and run it up and down. And it will knock it right back into place. All right. So I've matted my disc. I'm now going to take my buffer to it. All right, just a little bit. Because even though I want it matte, kind of want it a little shiny as well. Oh, and Priscilla's not happy. Sorry about that, guys. We don't carry sterling silver blanks. All right. So I have a matte, but I also, see how nice that looks? It's a matte brushed finish, but it also has that really nice glow to it. Angie Priscilla says hi too. She's not happy today because they're working on the kitchen. So anytime they come in and out of the house, she's barking. So she just wants attention. She wants them to come down and play with her. So I have my trees. I have my 2 crystals. I have room for my, I know Judy, right? I should be making something for her. Although it wouldn't have trees or mountains because Priscilla doesn't like to go outside. She'd rather stay inside. So, I have that nice matte finish, like I was saying before I got distracted by my dog. And I gave it a really nice pass over with the buffing block. And you guys could see, you always ask me like, how long do you use your buffing block for? I've been using this for a while and it still works. All right, still works. So again, I have my nice matte finish. She is a diva, Judy. I have my nice matte finish with a little bit of a shine on top. I still have my halos around my stamped impressions, which I love. Okay. So now I'm going to come in with my enamel. And I'm going to cover my trees, my dots. All right. Come in with my dry household paper towel. And I'm really just gonna blot, okay? And then lightly wipe. All right, and you could see how those trees, how nicely patinaed these trees are. All right, so now I'm gonna take my GS Hypo. Let me grab some crystals before and bring back my moon. So before we go and glue anything else, you're going to take your bezel. Now these bezels are great. They come with the inserts. They come in aluminum, alchemy, brass, and copper. All right. I'm going to use the brass today. I'm going to come in with my GS Hypo. I'm not going to squeeze because automatically I tell you guys that it bulges all the time. I'm going to work in my 4 corners, dot in the center, and then one on each side. I'm going to take my copper blank, place that right inside. Okay. Then I'm going to take another ball, put it right inside of my divots for my crystals. A little too much glue. Whoop, and there goes my paper towel. Let's get another one. Just gonna clean up that glue around it. I could also clean up that glue once it dries. And I'm gonna pull out, let's see what crystals. I really like the citrine, the November birthstone on copper. It gives it just a little bit of, you know, it brightens it up a little bit. I like that. And then we're just going to come in with a clear crystal, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my moon, and I'm just going to do one thin line of that GS Hypo. Now remember, guys, this is not something that you can make and gift right away. Definitely let it sit for a few, so the glue, you let the glue dry. And I am going to place my crescent moon. All right, then I'm going to come back in with my mountains. Okay, and I didn't do any cross hatching in these mountains. I'm going to just come in a little bit, and I want to do some ball peen. So I'm going to just set this aside. And I just want to do my edges. And maybe some little pieces inside just to give it some dimension. All right, then I'm gonna take my, now you could take your brown enamel marker, would look great on this. I'm gonna use my black today. I'm gonna enamel my mountains. Take my dry paper towel and really just dab it. Lightly wipe. And I'm gonna leave some of that enamel on my metal. I'm not gonna wipe it all off. Does everybody see what I'm saying? It leaves just a little bit and it looks like a really nice antique patina. So I'm gonna let it dry on there. All right, I'm gonna bring my pendant back. God, fingers aren't working today. Okay. All right. So bring you guys down so you could see that. And I'm just gonna measure up as to where I wanna lay that on my blank. And I want it just about there. So what I'm gonna do then is take that off and I'm gonna give some glue dots. I'm going to take my mountains and place it right on top and then just bring it down a little bit. And that, my friends, is the 3D bezel pendant using your mountains and your trees, your mixed metals. You could do it all in silver. You could do it all in copper. You could do it all in gold. If you are on the level where you are soldering, you could use sterling silver mountains. You can't solder the alchemy because it has a low boiling point, so you will have a puddle of pewter on your block. Yes, Jackie, I could show them. I could show you the cutters. Hi, Jules. Jules. Hi, Lisa. So, you could definitely double these, but I have to say, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I made, the ball Christmas ornament that I showed you guys. I made a mountain scene inside the ornament. So I can't wait to show you guys that on a live. But this is my little, my smaller version of the sample project that you guys saw on the Facebook page. All right. So now, obviously, if I have taken more time and sanded it and I buff it a little bit, what I would do once it's completely dry, all right, I would definitely take my buffing block to my brass moon to shine that brass moon really up. Hi, Ruth. Definitely polish up my bezel frame and definitely polish up my mountains just a slight bit. And I would probably just polish on the tips of it. I would leave the center with that patina on it. All right. So remember that these moons, we have stars also, we have butterflies, we have rosebuds. These embellishments are fantastic to add to any of your pieces, guys. And all you have to do is snip off the tag that comes on them. All right. And, we will, you want to, let's see, Linda is thinking that she wants to reverse the trees and the mountains. Linda, so you would do it basically the same way. You could do single trees. Okay, so let's say which side of the block would you use to polish? Okay, hold on. I'm going to go right back to one question. So I have, one second, guys. So Jackie wants to know the cutters. So Jackie, so these are the ImpressArt metal snips. These are my favorite. They're metal shears. If you want something different, you can go with the Xeron cutters. God, and you know, obviously Priscilla got to my pliers, so you could see how they're chewed on the ends. But I really, when it comes to cutting my alchemy, I like the ImpressArt. All right, so that's one question. Let's see. My second was Linda. Linda wants to see reverse trees. So basically, Linda, I would take this. Let me bring this up just a little bit so it's easier for everybody to see. All right, so I would take, let's take this tree, for instance. All right. So I cut it out a little bit. I'm just going to snip out my tree, okay? And then I would come in and just get as close to my tree as possible. And now you could do a bunch of trees lined up and cut it out like the mountains, completely up to you. You could do individual trees. This is something more individual, all right? And then you're gonna take your coarse side of your block, and you're going to knock down your ends, okay? Like I said, it does take a little long. It does take a while, but I promise you, you know, you could see that it's already shaping up. It's gonna look beautiful, all right? Or you could do a cluster of trees, just like I did a cluster of mountains. And that would work as well. Which side of the block would you use to polish? So, this is the buffing block. The buffing block comes with two different sides. It comes with a super fine side, and these are white when you purchase them. Mine are just black for metal dust, okay? So super fine and a fine side. I would start with my fine side and then move to my super fine side. How do I remove the extra glue once it's dried? Judy, I would take a tiny bit of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip and gently go around your divot where your glue is. I know, Nancy. Oh, Priscilla. Cluster is what you're thinking. So definitely with your cluster, let's see. I would start. So another thing, guys, is there's so much detail up top. Your bottom of your tree trunk, try to, when you're tilt and tapping it, try not to overhit your tree trunk because then it gets really wide and fat. All right. And there's nothing wrong with wide and fat. Nothing at all. So if I'm doing a cluster, okay, I'm starting with my tallest, and then I'm going to move on from there. And I'm going to do them at different heights, okay? So if I do them at different heights, I could always take my ball peen and just texture the bottom like it is ground, okay? You could do something like that. And then you could come in the back with the smaller one and make them a little three-dimensional. Ball peen a little bit more so it looks like a scene. Well, Christine, I want to get your brain firing. That's why, you know, guys, when I do these samples, I try to, you know, think out of the box. Because I wish when I started stamping years ago, I wish someone, you know, had more information out there when I started. So this is how you would do a cluster straight. Personal preference. You could keep on adding to it. Let's see what else I have. You could even use your big tree and just utilize, let's see, I don't want to do that right next to it. Let's see what I have. All right. When you're using your big tree, guys, you don't have to use the full impression. Use half. Do you see that? So you can make them all look differently by, you know, only using half of your tree. All right. And if you really want to get crazy and you want to really make it a little bit three-dimensional more, I would use half of an impression of these trees. How awesome is that? Because then you could place another tree right next to it so it looks like you're overlapping trees. Do we see that? Okay, so and you could definitely do it like this. I love the half impression. I think we should bring the half impression back, especially with this tree. I love the half impression on that tree. All right, now if you're doing a cluster, I would definitely do something like this. If you are using a round bezel, all right, let's say this is a round bezel, and you want to go around your disc, okay? Let's see, let me grab a round disc. Do I have it? Let's see. All right, so these are also bigger bezels. So this was the bigger bezel that I made the sample with. That would have taken us a couple of hours. I'm reading these comments, guys. Linda and Angie, thank you guys so much. That really means a lot. I love what I do. And I love you guys that you tune in and listen to me. So let's say you wanted to do a cluster, but you wanted to do them on an edge. Okay? So what I would do, and I'm just going to roundabout this a little bit, is that I would just come down, draw on my blank. Okay? No, we don't sell we don't sell that, Jackie. And I want to do it on a curve. I would come in and just build up a scene of trees. Right? And I would just keep on adding in that form. All right, and let's say I build it up and I build it up. And then I want to cut it. So I'm going to cut it in half. There we go. I'm going to keep on snipping it. And of course, I build all of my scene in my curve. you could definitely come in and do your scenes around your disc. All right, so let me see. I'm winging this here with you guys really quick. So if you wanted to come and build a scene around it, this is how it would go. Of course, you would have to sand it and really build it up, but how nice would that be if it was just a really on a curve, all your trees, then your mountains, and your moon or your sun with a lot of texture. And you could build that right back up. You know how I love to texture my ends. All right. And I'm just gonna literally come in with my trees. And just keep on building on to that pattern. Let's take that Sharpie off so you could see a little bit better with what I mean. You know, so instead of going across, you could go right around. Thank you, Jennifer. Hence design director, yes. So as opposed to, let me get that up. My fingers are not wanting to pick up these bezels today for some reason. So as opposed to going across, you could do something really nifty and make a scene, you know, and just have your trees go up the side of your bezels. You know, you could even do your mountains. You could actually, you know, draw, guys. It's okay. If you're not, even if you're not really like, you know, kind of artistic, you could still, you know, go in and doodle a little bit. So let's say, you know, have my crystals. You could actually, we have a canoe stamp, so you could put a canoe stamp here, and you could texture a river through that. You know? Yes, Kathy. Unprinted pennies that fell off of a truck. And yes, you could use those. Normal, yes, you guys could definitely stamp on pennies. All right? So definitely feel free to draw on your blanks. No judgment from us, Lisa. No judgment. None whatsoever. All right? And I just got asked about texturing the river, what I meant by that. So obviously I have my mountains here. I have my little canoe there. So we have a canoe stamp. We have a fire stamp with logs, cross logs, and fire on top. You could use that in these settings also in your scene building. But right here would be my textured river. And all I would do is take my ball peen and give it a really nice texture to it. Do you see that? All right. So guys, sky's the limit. And now that I've shown you how to do this and how easy it is, I want to see what you're making. Me and Jen want to see what you guys are doing. So definitely... And guys, these would go really nice with Christmas scenes as well. All right. Hi, Gail. How are you? So definitely check out these guys. Jules, we do have a squirrel stamp. Yes, to do a tiny Bob Ross scene. It would be perfect. Happy trees. Happy trees, guys. Happy trees. So I'm going to turn you around. All right. Let's see. So thank you guys for watching today. And remember, these are live. So you could definitely purchase these today. Terry posted her heart ornaments. I'm going to have to take a look. Well, Kathy, you're very welcome. Mr. Panula is joining in. Ladies, you should tell him that he should put the heat on in the house because it's cold. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We will be back on Thursday, and we are going to play around with the brass bracelet blanks, and we're going to make rings. So, all right, Maureen. Maureen gets paid tomorrow. So it's shopping day tomorrow. You are very welcome, Carly. Right, Angie, and the dog is barking. All right, guys. So, well, thank you very much, Teresa. Oh, she is, Judy. She is. So have a great day, guys. And I will see you guys on Thursday at 12:30. All right. Have an amazing beginning of your week.